Welcome to my channel. Today I have a couple of stories, true crime stories, people who were unalive and that they still have no idea here in the state of California of who committed the crimes. So let's get started with the first story. So for the first story, I have, her name was Brenda Duarte. Now, she was only 23 years old, and this happened back in 1982. So back in 1982, at 23 years young, she was living in this apartment complex with her young daughter. And at the time, she was working for a local Wells Fargo. And this is what ended up happening. She, was doing laundry one day, like I'm sure she had done many times before that. And she went to the laundry room of this apartment complex to put her clothes from the washer to the dryer, and someone ends up unaliving her. So she was found strangled, and till this day, they have no idea who did this. Her body was found in the laundry room, and she was very young. She had a young daughter, which makes it even more sad, and they still have no idea who did this after all these years. And yes, you guys, I mean, it's such a sad story because it's like something that she probably did many times. It's probably something that, an area that was probably safe to her because it's her own apartment complex where she lives with her daughter, And for someone to do this to her, obviously we have no idea who did it. Was it someone that she knew? Was it a complete stranger? People have no idea. There's just, this was back in 1982. It's 2025. So, it's been a long time, and still there is no answers to what happened to Brenda Duarte. But that's the first story. Those are all the details I have for this first story. And so let's go on to the second story. So for the second story, we have a Jane Doe case. So it is a Jane Doe. It's a Jane Doe baby. Yes, I know. It's a baby. It's a female baby. And this happened back in 1988. So back in 1988, the remains of this baby, of this Jane Doe, were found in the backyard of a home. And, after all this time, they have no idea whose baby this is or who did this, And they believe that the baby was born alive, and that, that someone, they believe this is a homicide case, that someone intentionally, did this to this child, And so there is just not really much to go on, it's been so long and they still cannot, identify this Jane Doe baby. They still don't know who did this. They know that the baby was, excuse me, they know the baby was 4 pounds, 19 inches long, and they believe the baby was Caucasian or Latin, but that's all they really have. And of course, the belief that the baby was alive and breathing, at the time of birth. So yes, this is the second story, a Jane Doe baby. So for the next story, we have Barbara Ann Smith. So back in 1991, she was 28 years old, and she was pregnant she was 7 months along. So she was 7 months pregnant, and her body was found unalived, in the parking lot of a middle school, you guys. So at this middle school, her body was found, and she had been bludgeoned to death, and there was footprints on her belly, in her pregnant belly. And this is just such a horrible, horrible crime. I mean, she was young, she was pregnant, very pregnant. I mean, 7 months alone, you're pretty pregnant, you know? And, you know, she had other children as well. And, you know, she was a mommy to other children. And, you know, someone, you know, committed this horrible, horrible crime. And unfortunately, they have not been, you know, arrested. Like, they have no idea who committed this crime. Um, you know, it's been a while, you know, 1991, you know, it's been a long time. And they still have no idea who committed this awful, awful crime. But yes, this is another story, and a very, very sad, sad story. Let's go on to the next story. So the next and the last case that I have for you today is a Jane Doe, and this happened back in May of 1989. So in May of 1989, in Los Angeles, California, the unalive body of a young girl was found in an alleyway. And when they found her, she had only been, you know, deceased for a couple of hours, you know. And so, I mean, clearly they have no idea who she is because, you know, she's a Jane Doe, you know. She's a Jane Doe, but she had long dark hair, and she was wearing multiple pieces of jewelry, you know. And I'm sure if, you know, you search up her case, you can probably see the pictures and kind of get a better idea. She is believed to be between the ages of 12 and 15. So it sounds like we're talking about a teenager here. And let's see, that also she was wearing a t-shirt, you know, a bright blue t-shirt that read, "Somebody in California loves me." And that just broke me because, you know, the t-shirt, what it says, and the fact that, you know, she's a Jane Doe, it's almost like no one, you know, came up. I mean, she only been dead for a couple of hours when they found her. You know, I feel like, you know, you would think that there will be someone who reports someone missing, or, you know, their child is missing or something. And the fact that she's a Jane Doe and she's, you know, clearly, you know, a teenager, where's her family, where's her loved ones, and she's wearing this shirt that says "Somebody in California loves me," you know. And but yes, they have you guys no idea who she is, but I seen you know, a sketch of her, what she looked like. And yes, a young, you know, young girl. To me personally, it speaks volumes that, you know, the shirt that she's wearing, the jewelry, you know, from what I read, she was wearing multiple pieces of jewelry. To me, that's someone that, you know, how do I put it? Someone that socializes, someone that, you know, you're a young girl, so you probably have like a family member, someone, a parent, you know, a guardian, someone that it's taking care of you, and, you know, it's buying you this, you know, jewelry that you're wearing. And but believe it or not, after all this time, I mean, this happened back in 1989, there's still no evidence. There's no information of who she is, you know, her name. She's a Jane Doe. And I know there's Jane Does of all different ages, you know, but because she's a teenager, you know, it's, to me, it's like someone out there in Los Angeles. I mean, someone has to know who this girl is, you know. There has to be someone that cares for her, you know. But yes, this is the last story that I have for you today. And You know, I think it's important to talk about cold cases because I feel like it keeps the case going, you know? It spreads the word of, you know, of these cold cases, you know? I mean, as you heard, you know, like a lot of these cases are like in the 90s, you know, and there's Jane Doe's. And so, yes, it's important to spread the word. It's important to, you know, obviously for the people who we know who they are to, you know, to get closure for the family. And for the Jane Does, you know, they deserve, you know, a name. They deserve, you know, their cases to be solved as well. And so this is the video that I have for you today. I hope that, you know, me posting this video helps, you know, keep this cases alive. And I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks for watching.